Hey, what's up, everybody? So my name is Devin, and what I'm going to show you guys is where you can get the alpha and the omega. So I'm sure that many of you have heard the phrase, if you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you would have a key to the universe. Whether you believe Nikola Tesla said it or you want to give props to anyone else, that's completely up to you. But there's power in that phrase. There's also power in the phrase that says if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. First and foremost, when it comes to vortex math, we're going to focus on this circle right here. All right. So when it comes to vortex math, we know that that is a pattern. And that pattern specifically looks like this. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5. Okay, and then it repeats all over again. Now you can find this by basic doubling. It's very simple. If you take 1 times 2, you end up with 2. If you take 2 times 2, you end up with 4. If you take 4 times 2, you end up with 8. If you take 8 times 2, you end up with 16. 16 times 2 is going to give you 32. 32 times 2 is going to give you 64. Okay, now the reason I'm doing this is because you can see here, you started with 1. 1, 2, 4, 8. 1 plus 6 is 7. 3 plus 2 is 5. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. 6 plus 4 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. And then 1. Start all over again. 64 times 2 is going to be 128. So again, you just add it up. So you got 10, 11, that's going to be 2. So the cycle keeps going on and on forever. And that's why it's 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. Now you can do this in multiple ways, but for right now, we're just going to go ahead and stick with just the doubling part. Okay, so that's the pattern. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. So if I were to mark this, I have this really amazing shape that reveals. And this shape is very important. If you want to learn more about this shape, my advice is study 1937. Study the Holocaust, study Hitler, study the metaphysics of the Mandela effect. In the Mandela effect, you're going to end up finding this shape that I'm going to show you that was specifically used. So if I were to go ahead and draw a line from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 7, 7 to 5, and right back to 1. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. If I were to just go ahead and go 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, and back to 1, I get this shape right here. Okay, now this shape right here, you might notice it. It looks just like the VW, which is exactly what it is. Okay, so that is going to be the first one. So this is vortex math. That's what we're going to write. This is a vortex math. It is a pattern. It is a pattern that runs in all of medicine, in all of science. It's the understanding basically that 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5 are light. Okay, so this represents light. And of course, everything comes from light. So the idea is that if you were to drop a photon of light here and here, it is going to follow a path, go down here, hit 4. It's going to follow a path, hit 7, and hit 5. And they're both going to hit at the exact same place right here, therefore ricocheting off to create what is called self-sustaining energy. Okay, sorry, I can't say it. That is creating self-sustaining energy. That is the idea behind this. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So we'll keep this pattern here. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5. Now, in the Bible, let me grab another marker so you guys can see this. So in the Bible, there is a scripture that says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And it is found in Revelations 21:6. Now we know that 2 plus 6 plus 1 is going to give me a 9. But what we don't know is what this alpha and this omega really is. So I'm going to show you. Okay, so taking this understanding and the power of this shape, I am going to show you it here. So we know that if we were to take what Tesla said and focus on the 3, the 6, and the 9, we have one equilateral triangle. But inside of this, there is 2 other equilateral triangles. The first one is going to be, the second one is going to be 1, 7, and 4. So in other words, if I were to draw a line right here, I end up with an equilateral triangle. Okay, but for what we're working on, what you're actually going to see is you're going to see something completely different. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use the green to represent this. Okay, so if I look at this, what I notice is I notice there are numbers that are not being touched by 1, 7, and 4. The numbers that are not being touched by 1, 7, and 4 are going to be 9, 8, 6, 5, 3, and 2. Okay. Now, what we're going to notice is we're going to notice that this is kind of a jumbled mix of numbers, doesn't really have much value to it. But if we focus on this pattern that we were showing right here, well, now it gets really interesting, because what you're going to see is if we start with 9, and again, I'm using green to represent this, we start with 9 and then we move to 8, and 8 we move down to 6, 6 we move over to 2, 2 moves down to 3, 3 moves down to 5, and back up. So if we were to draw a line, well, look at that. We have the exact same shape that we were creating. So again, if we get rid of this triangle right here, you'll be able to see a little bit more clear. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So you can see that what you are actually looking at is you're looking at the exact same shape, just going another direction. Okay, so you have the VW basically, and again, if you were to drop it, it's going to hit the exact same thing. This right here is actually 9, 8, 6, 2, 3, 5, and 0. The reason that it is 0 is because of the fact that 9 holds two values. It holds a positive and it holds a negative. Okay, so this is actually called an omega code. I am the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. Okay, but it doesn't stop there, because now what we're going to do is we're going to move over to this one right here. But instead of me actually let me grab this real quick. So instead of me actually putting the triangle, I'm going to have you guys kind of visualize the understanding of that. There is another triangle that is found in this. I talk about it a lot when we're talking about our chakra frequencies, which is 2, 8, and 5. If I were to draw a triangle, that's going to be your third equilateral triangle that is found inside of this. Okay, but for this example, what I'd like you to see is I'd like you to see that 2, 8, and 5 are the numbers that are being touched. So what are the numbers that are not being touched? Well, what we can see here is we've got a 9. Okay, we have a 1, we have a 3, we have a 4, we have a 6, and we have a 7. Okay, now what did I just talk about? I talked about the fact that 9 holds both negative and positive. So it's very important for us to understand that if we're going to use it over here, then we've got to use the opposite over here. Okay, so we're going to start with 0. Okay, so this is actually going to represent a 0 instead of a 9. Again, you could write 0 if you wanted to. Doesn't matter. It holds the exact same value. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to start at 0, then we're going to hit 1, then we're going to hit 3, and then we're going to hit 7, then we're going to hit 6, then we're going to hit 4, and we're going to go back up. So we're going to go and follow 1, 3, 7. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from 9 to 1, 1, 3, 7, 6, 4, 9. Okay, so now our pattern is 1, 3, 7, 6, 4, and 9. Now, there are a couple things that are really profound in this, but the main thing we want to focus on is understanding that 1, 3, 7 is what is referred to as the alpha number. Okay, that is the alpha number as it is. So before you even get into this understanding, we know that 137 stands for the fine structure constant. The fine structure constant is the moment that a wave decides that it's going to collapse its wave function and become a particle of light. So basically all around you are these invisible waves that you can't see. And when they decide, and that's the most important part, to decide, as in day split, as in they decide within the day to split, when they decide that they want to actually be seen, they become a particle of light. Now, you can find this study by studying the double slit experiment. By watching it, you'll actually be able to see exactly how this works. But for right now, we're just going with the understanding that we know that the alpha is 137, which means that 0, 1, 3, 7, 6, 4, 9 is going to be the alpha number. Okay, so again, let's go back over this. We started over here with 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1, which is referred to as vortex math. And that's where you draw a line 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, and 1. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. Nikola Tesla, Marco Rodin, they all talked about it. Okay, so that's what it is that you're looking for. Now, if you move that over here, because we started with the 3, 6, and 9 that Tesla was talking about, and we grab the other equilateral triangle, which is going to be 1, 7, and 4, we end up revealing the numbers that are not being touched, which is 9, 8, 6, 2, 3, 5, and 0. This is known as our omega number. And if we move over here, we do the exact same thing. We know that 2, 8, and 5 are of the equilateral triangle. So the numbers that are not actually being touched are going to be 0, 1, 3, 7, 6, 4, and 9, which give you your alpha. Okay. Now, what is going to be really amazing is when you see the power of what it was that was being said in Revelations 21:6. So again, we go back to Revelations 21:6 says, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and start with a 0, 1, 3, 7, 6, 4, and 9. This is referred to as the Alpha. The Alpha is going to be a total of 30 when you add those up. 1 plus 3 plus 7 plus 6 plus 4 plus 9 is going to end up being 30. Now, we also know that there is an Omega. Again, I tried to change up the colors so you guys can actually see this. This is going to be, the Omega is going to be starting with a 9, and then it is going to be 8, 6, 2, 3, 5, and 0. And this is going to be a total of 33. Okay, now what you should be able to see already is that if we were to draw a line right here, we've got 9, 1 plus 8, 9, 3 plus 6, fix my marker, 9, 7 and 2, 9, 6 and 3, 9, 5 and 4, 9, 9 and 0, 9, giving you a total of 7 nines, which is very, very important when it comes to the metaphysical side of this. You also end up with a total of 63, another very, very important part when it comes to vortex math. This is the alpha, this is the omega. And of course, the ultimate understanding is going to be 9, because 9 times 7 is going to give you 63, and 6 plus 3 is always going to take you back to 9. 9 is the container that holds everything in it, which is why it's in Revelations 21:6. 2 plus 1 plus 6 is going to be 9. Okay, so that right there is explaining to you how you got the alpha and the omega from vortex math. This is science, this is biblical, this is spiritual, and this is metaphysical. It's all connected together. Because what is so amazing is that 9 is the container that holds all of time, all of matter, and all of light. 7 is the pattern, the flow that you want to follow. Okay, again, I posted this today, and it's really important. If you guys really want to get aligned with the cosmos, with patterns, start September 1st. 7 first. And the reason is because basically everything, when you go back to read Genesis, you'll see that the 7th day was actually September, and it was on a Sunday. So that's the power of the holy day. That's the power of talking about the 7 in the Bible, talking about the 7th day he rested, the holy day of the 7th. There's very, very key alignments when you shift from, again, and I'm one of those people where I love 9s. I have been working on this for a very long time, and I could not get things to align with 9. I couldn't get it to fit into a pattern. And the reason is because I needed to realize that I was outshining the truth by just focusing on 9. Okay, 7 is very, very important. The Hebrews knew it. It is found in Gematria. And the reason that it's so important is because it is the patterns that you're looking for. If you are a day trader in stocks, if you are a crypto trader, if you're somebody who is in a business and has to pay attention to the way that energy flows and moves, if you're in science and you have to pay attention to the way that nature flows and moves, it all follows 7s. Okay, if you want the container and want to connect to the container, connect to 9. But if you want to follow the actual pattern, follow 7, starting with September 1st. And here's what's really, really amazing about this. Okay. So if you follow 7, what you will actually see is that September 1st, 2024. Okay. Very, very important year. I'll be talking about it quite a bit. You guys will be hearing about it in this next year. It is very important because it is moving into a new time. Okay. When we go back to the Bible and we know that there are 2 witnesses, there are 2 witnesses that are going to be talking about this time that is coming. So if we were to take 18 times 37, this is very important because there are 37 solar eclipses in an 18-year cycle. Okay. So if you have an 18-year cycle, you are going to have 70 eclipses. Remember, Genesis, the sun and the moon were created for the times. The stars were created to show you the times. Okay, so 18 times 37 is going to be 666. This is the power of Solomon, sun and moon wisdom. Okay, 18 times 33 is going to have given you 594. So when you go back and you learn about the witnesses to the times, you are going to get a total of 1260. 1260 is very, very important because of the fact that Daniel talks about the fact that there is going to be a time, times, and a day, days, and a day and a half. Okay, so if we were going to take that, a day is represented by 360, or the rotation of 360 times, right? So we're going to end up having 2 days because it's 2. So then we're going to have 720, and 720 plus 180, which would be half a day, is going to take you to 1260. When you go and look in Revelations, you're going to see a woman who watches the time for 1260. Now, before I show you the big reveal of this, I want you to understand that the reason that we focused on this was because every 18 years is a cycle. Every 9 years, once you understand this cycle, it's going to be an opposite. Okay, and this is really cool. It's going to be an opposite eclipse. So, for instance, if there is a blood moon, let's say on April, we'll just say 9th. So if there's going to be a blood moon on April 9th, we'll say 2017, 9 years later, okay, there is going to end up being not a blood moon, but there's going to end up being a total, a partial eclipse. Okay, so it's following a pattern of 9 and it's following a pattern of 18. Okay, now again, these numbers are found in the Bible. You can study them. You look at the different descendants from Leah, look at the different descendants that are mentioned, look at Nebuchadnezzar's amount of time that he actually rules things. Look at Solomon. What you will see is you'll see this number 70 popping out quite often. And it's because of the fact that, again, you're going to have 37 total eclipses and you're going to have 33 partial eclipses. Now, again, another really important part of understanding these 2 numbers is going to be the power of 37, which, if you know 3, 6, and 9, is the key to understanding 37. If you were to take 3, sorry about that. If you were to take 37 times 3, you end up with 111. If you take 37 times 6, you end up with 222. If you take 37 times 9, you end up with 333. Okay, and if it keeps going, you end up counting it out all the way. So that's the first thing. The other thing, of course, is going to be 33, being you have 33 bones in your spine that follow, that the energy within your body ends up following to hit all 7 of your chakras. Okay, 33 is also the year, of course, that aligns with Jesus. There's a lot of other information that goes with 33. So 37 and 33 are very important, not only in the cosmos, but also within your body. But here's the big reveal. September 1st, 2024 is going to be a major astronomical year, because what's going to happen is September 1st is going to start on a Sunday. And if you remember, I told you everything started on a Sunday, but you also have to align the lunar. And what's so fascinating is September 18th is going to end up being a lunar eclipse. This lunar eclipse falls into the month that starts on a Sunday, which creates what is called an astronomical septennial year. This happens every 4,543 years. Okay, if I were to subtract 4,543 from September 1st, 2024, I end up with September 1st, 2, 5, BCE. So we were talking before Christ. We were talking before the AD process. Okay. Now, why is that so cool? That's so cool because if you end up taking 1260, as I was showing you earlier, and you times that by 2, you get 2520. Okay. So the understanding is that next year is going to be a massive, massive year. It is going to be a change of era. It is going to be a change of time. And that's what everyone is feeling. They're feeling this change that is coming. What you do not understand is it's happened numerous times before because we are on cycles. We always have cycles. And most importantly, those cycles are found in the sky. Because as long as man keeps changing what the year is and what the day is and what the month is, doesn't matter. Matters when you look up in the sky. And so therefore, September 1st, 2024 is going to be on a Sunday, but most importantly, it is going to end up aligning with a lunar eclipse in that month, following and showing you that you are in a certain time. Okay. So it's absolutely epic. It's awesome and it's amazing. But most importantly, when you are following patterns, you got to follow the 7. You have got to follow the 7. That's where you're going to find your patterns. That's where you're going to find your predictions. It is not going to be found in anything except for the 7. When you start looking at the 9, that's where you get the whole part because 25,920 years is the precession of the equinox. And also, those of you that really like the chakra understanding should know that your 7 chakra frequencies are going to equal to 4, 5, 3, 6, which is very, very close to 4, 5, 4, 3 by, of course, 7 years. 7 years of tribulation. 7 years that you are waiting at that point. Okay? Because when you see the whole entire cycle, what you actually see, that 4, 5, 3, 6, or 4, 5, 4, 3, okay, is going to be divided into 649 years times 7. Okay, so that right there is already ends up giving you 4, 5, 4, 3. But on top of that, you also end up, you can drop that because of the fact that we know we have 7 years. So it can be 648 because again, you're only talking about 7 years. So 648 times 7 is going to end up being 4, 5, 3, 6. 4, 5, 3, 6 is the total of 3, 9, 6, 4, 1, 7, 5, 2, 8, 6, 3, 9, 7, 4, 1, 8, 5, 2, and 9, 6, 3. That is 4, 5, 3, 6. Okay? It is awesome, and it all perfectly aligns. All right? So now you have an understanding.